the next step in the getting these ready to go into the piano, and I'm kind of fortunate because these hinges they're pretty good. They don't need to be rebuilt. Is to clean them up. You'll notice that a technician at some point in time with these Steinway bees did draw the smack line. That's the impact point. It was probably drawn on there when they were new, just to remind the technician of, where the impact point was. I'm fortunate that I saved these brushes. They're steel. Really the ones I wanted were the brass ones for when I was cleaning up the Whippins. But for this job, I prefer the steel one. This wood's a little harder than the original Hammersticks that were A's, and that additional strength here makes cleaning them up a little easier for me. And anytime you're working with wood, you want to try to be kind of careful. Now, see, I've got it marked 7, and somebody else drew a B on there to indicate these were B hammers, which I appreciate that they would do that. So I want to redraw my number after I clean it. I want to try and support them as best you can, kind of so the wood has some support while you're working it. Or hold it in your hand. Try to make sure that it never gets a side stress that could crack it or loosen the head. Even when I'm working the shaft, I'll try to get it on the table so that I can really apply a little bit more pressure. This is just real quick general cleanup, not a big deal. Okay, and we go here. This is number 11. So I'm going to come in and clean this area off first. Come back in and mark the 11 again. Great. These, I did not have to reshape the felt as in grinding it because the size was about right for a bass string, whereas the Bs in the higher registers did need to be cut back, and I'm still doing that, of course. But with the bass strings, they don't need to be reshaped really. This is a looks thing. I'm not going to say that they would function any better doing this, but part of our work is to make things look better. Part of the work is make them function better. Okay? Just over and over again. The repetition, this is 10. That's 10. Like that. Then we can get to cleaning up the rest of it. They're highly effective at cleaning the wood, this steel brush. It does do the work pretty darn quickly and does it well. And does it without putting sand on the parts that you might get using sandpaper or using even a system like a blasting system of shells or sand. It does make a mess. So I prefer using the brushes. The only mess is the wood that's coming off. And that's the drop screw adjustment, in case you didn't know. You can see as you use them, the brush is kind of getting into a little rougher position. That's as far as I'll go with that one. And use another one.
And this is number 12. So always the first step is to clean this off and remark it. I want them all marked, and I want them put in the piano in order. Because they have a progression in shape, which is very important in terms of the tilt and the size of the head. So the position they're in the piano is very important. That that be retained. And you can, like these didn't have markings in the beginning, I had to put them on, and I had to do it based on looking at the shapes and trying to figure out where it went. So it can be done after the fact, but and you want to be gentle when you're working these heads, because if you're not gentle, you're going to have to re-glue them. And that is not something I want to do. Unless I have to. I do have the hide glue in a pot, and I've got one of these that needs done. This is a 9. I'm kind of fortunate. This is one of the easiest cleanup restorations I've done on parts. These are in quite good condition. These are the ones that do not need a rebuild of the hinge. I'm out of pins right now, the correct size. They're on order. But I have pins, but they're not quite the right size for this hinge. So I'm working on the ones now that do not need a hinge pin. How do I know? Because it moves freely. They should swing 2.5 times, 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Spec. They shouldn't be too loose. They shouldn't be too tight. It's pretty quick. And this one is number 8. I have a lot of these brushes. I'm not going to be shy about using them up. Okay, the next task is to rebuild the knuckle and resurface the leather.